Hi there, I'm Christian Lonzi and I'm accompanied by my sister and my business partner Jane Campbell.
Hi.
And thank you for joining us for the July edition of the Moonee Valley Market. So here we are today down at our display suite for a beautiful townhouse development we're selling at 19 to 21 Matthews Avenue in Airport West. It's open for inspection every weekend, so please check the website if you'd like to find out the details. So we're here today to tell you a little bit about what's happening in the market at the moment. So let's just start with you, Jane. How's the rental market going?
Well, it's currently winter at the moment, very cold, and traditionally winter is off-peak season in the rental market. So there's not a lot of people turning over properties, moving out. So we're actually looking forward to spring where things get moving again. In saying that, we are getting them rented, but yeah, off-peak season is in the colder months and peak season is at the beginning of every year.
Cool. Yeah. And what's the vacancy rates like?
The vacancy rate at the moment is a little bit up on last year. So we're sitting around, in our rent roll, about 4.3%. And that's probably due to the fact that there's been a flood of properties on the market with all the developments that have taken place. A lot of our developers are building like up to 200 apartments in a block, and all of a sudden they're listing them all at once. So yeah, that's why I think the vacancy rate's up.
One thing I'm noticing on the sales side of things is that when I sell a property nowadays, so say I sell a property to a homeowner and then we look at what their old property is, a lot of times they used to always sell their old home, whereas because interest rates are so low at the moment, what we're finding is that people are actually tending to hold their old property because they can rent it out and probably get a positive yield. So is that, do you think that's contributing?
Yeah, I'm noticing that. A lot of my landlords are moving into bigger and better homes, and they're leasing out their old homes that are a bit smaller. Okay, Christian, now we've spoken about the rental market. What's the sales market doing at the moment?
Well, thank you for asking. Now, in regards to the sales side of things at the moment, one thing we have seen for June is that the auctions clearance rates have slowed down. Okay, so even the last weekend that just passed, we saw an auction clearance rate for Melbourne at 74%, which is actually the lowest it's been since July last year. Now, I still feel that the market is pretty strong at the moment, but there are some contributing factors to that. So obviously seasonal, like even in the rental market that you mentioned before, I think it's cold and people are preferring staying home at the moment.
Definitely.
But I think one of the bigger things that's going on in the market at the moment is probably something more to do with these new quoting laws that have come into place. So if you didn't know, on the 1st of May, Consumer Affairs have introduced some new quoting laws, which what it is, as an agent, we have to quote properties within only a 10% range. So it can't go outside of that. On top of that too, we actually have to provide sales evidence on our advertising for all the properties to make sure that we are quoting it within a range that is suitable for that property. Now, I do actually support these new quoting laws, but I think what the problem is at the moment is that buyers aren't educated exactly around how they work. Now, a lot of buyers over the last few years have always been expecting most properties to sell probably around about 10 or even 20% above the quote ranges of what agents are quoting. Whereas what we're finding at the moment is most property is actually selling pretty much on the ball around what the quote range is. So until buyers are start to learn exactly how this is all working, I think we're going to see a bit more of a flatter market. But overall, I think in the long run that the new quoting laws will be really positive.
Okay, so what could we look forward to seeing in July, Christian?
Okay, so for July, I still think it's going to be quite a strong market. Now, probably one of the biggest changes we're going to see come into place is of the 1st of July, we're going to see the first home buyers grants all change. Now, there have been some great incentives for first home buyers to get them into the market and to make it a bit more affordable for them to buy. Probably the biggest one is the absolute abolishment of stamp duty for any property up to $600,000. So I think it's a good thing for first home buyers.
Oh, awesome thing. But yeah, will that put pressure on the market between that price range?
I do think it will. That's probably going to be the double-edged sword there, is the fact that, all right, they're getting these incentives and not having to pay as much stamp duty, but I think any properties that we're going to see selling around that, $550 to $650 mark, there's just going to be so much competition. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes, but I still think it is a positive thing for the first home buyers. Now, just before we go, we'd love to give a few quick shout-outs. Firstly, St. Vincent's de Paul in Strathmore, we'd like to thank you for letting us get involved in your fun run last month. We had an absolute ball. They raised about $3,800, and Frankie the Frog had an absolute ball handing out balloons and things like that too. So thanks very much.
And St. Monica's, we'd love to thank you for involving us in the trivia night to raise money for Anil. That was amazing. We raised just over $7,000, which was incredible, the generosity of that school. So thank you again for having us involved in that.
How did you guys go with the trivia night?
Not so good.
Right.
Good at raising money, but not good at playing.
Yeah, good at selling real estate too, but not good at trivia. Okay, so that's Frank Dowling's for you. Guys, thank you very much for joining us. We can't wait to see you out and about this month if you're looking for a property. Always feel free to call us if you need any real estate advice, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you.